o'clock on 7 and 7+.
This morning, the Anzac spirit commemorated. Thousands gather for dawn services around the nation. Diggers and their families marched through our capital cities, cheered on by grateful crowds. The dawn service about to begin at the place where the Anzac legend began. And people gathering in the small town in France, saved by Australian troops in World War I.
This is 7 News with Ann Sanders.
Good morning and welcome to this special Anzac Day edition of 7 News. Australians right across the country have turned out for dawn services remembering the fallen. From Sydney's Martin Place to Kings Park in Perth and across the Tasman in Auckland's Domain, thousands have honoured the Anzac spirit and those who have followed in their steps in conflicts around the globe. We'll take you live to Anzac Day marches around the country in just a moment. But first, as the sun rose, a look at how the day began.
As dawn broke in our nation's capital, our country paused to reflect.
Every Anzac Day, from the greatest memorial to the simplest cenotaph, we honour all who have served in our name and all who continue to serve today.
Marking 108 years since the Anzacs landed at Gallipoli. In Sydney, the unbreakable Aussie spirit on show at the Cenotaph in Martin Place. The ode to the fallen read by the son of Sergeant Brett Till. His wife Bree was pregnant with Ziggy when her husband died on duty in Afghanistan.
We can all take pride in the example of the original Anzacs. Together, in that tradition, on this land, we remember them.
At Currumbin Beach on the Gold Coast, wreaths and a moment of silence to honour the Anzacs.
We honour them still. We always will, today and tomorrow, with pride and sorrow.
At Elephant Rock, fallen servicemen and women laid to rest at sea.
Jeffrey Saunders, Army. William Thomas George Buber, Navy.
While in Brisbane, this was just one of around 400 services planned right across the state today.
These are my medals, and this is the day to remember and pay respects to all the people who have served and have, including my wife here.
At the Shrine of Remembrance in Melbourne, thousands paid tribute not just to those who died in Gallipoli, but for those in all conflicts.
The Korean War will only be the forgotten war if we let it.
In Adelaide too, crowds taking part in commemorations, the city's biggest in almost a decade. In Tasmania, many braved the cold start to honour our troops. On the West Coast, thousands stood in solidarity at Perth's Kings Park, while across the Tasman, our Anzac partners gathered outside Auckland's War Memorial. In Papua New Guinea, a service at the war cemetery to honour the dead. In a day so important to so many.
I come out every year. I've been here for many, many years, and my godfather was in the army in World War II.
I see so many young people come along, and all the scouts that came in on the train this morning, all dressed up and all here to support. It's fabulous.
Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them, lest we forget.
Matthew Carr-Stunan, 7 News.
One of the special moments of any Anzac Day is the Veterans March in each capital city. Liam Tapper joins us live from Sydney. Liam, good morning. It's always an emotional sight.
Yeah, good morning, Anne. It certainly is. And our march here in Sydney, it's been going for close to 2.5 hours, and we're still seeing a steady stream of different companies walking down Elizabeth Street. Here we have Army returned servicemen, we have Air Force, we also have Navy, but we also have thousands of people lining the street all the way down to the Anzac Memorial in Hyde Park, where people will come together, they will reflect and they will praise what has been such a special day already, but they'll take stock of what Anzac Day means to them, because we know it means so much to so many different people. Here in Sydney, we're expecting 10,000 people to line this street, line the service throughout the morning. We've already had flyovers from Air Force planes, both old and new. Speaking to a lot of these people, one of the most special parts is that there are a lot of young people here today. They've had family who have fought in wars, or they're just here with their family paying their respects. So it certainly has been a special morning, Anne, but Anzac Day, of course, it's far from over. But this march this morning, it certainly has been special to so many people here.
It's a fantastic sight there, Liam. Thank you very much, Liam Tapper in Sydney. Christy Cooper is in Melbourne. Christy, a lot of younger people are marching there this year.
They certainly are. It has been a beautiful sunny morning here in Melbourne, but also an emotional one, as the sounds of the marching band has been echoing throughout the city. Around 20,000 people have turned out to watch this march as they've travelled from the Princes Bridge through to the Shrine of Remembrance. And a similar number of people have been marching, not only veterans, but also their family members and quite a number of school groups. The age marching here has certainly been getting younger and younger over the years. As the veterans pass away, their children and grandchildren have been proudly wearing their medals. I spoke to one 98-year-old veteran who said when he first started marching there were 70 comrades with him. Now there are just 3. There will be a wreath-laying ceremony in the next hour at the Shrine of Remembrance, and then the celebrations or commemorations continue into the afternoon. Many people here will be heading to the MCG. It is sold out. There will be a minute's silence and then the last post before a huge roar for the traditional Anzac Day clash between the Bombers and the Pies.
Christy Cooper live in Melbourne. Great to see those huge crowds there, Christy. Thank you for joining us. Steve Hart is watching on in Brisbane as young and old turn out to pay their respects. Steve, the chance of some wet weather just hasn't dampened any spirits there today.
Good morning, and very close. A couple of drips and drops here and there. But look at this. This is just magnificent, and what we've been seeing for the last couple of hours. Thousands have lined the streets here in Brisbane, and nobody has left. Young, old, and everything in between too. And many of them have come to pay their respects to people that were part of their family, and others just to pay their respects to those that have paid the sacrifice, have also served in the past, and maybe those currently serving. This march continues. The streets are blocked off in Brisbane. The rain has held off, which is a wonderful thing. It's been a little couple of drops, but right now it's perfect weather, Anne, and great spirits. As I guess the number one word here is pride, and people are feeling a wonderful amount of emotion all around that pride, and the marching bands. It's a great atmosphere here. Back to you, Anne.
It certainly looks like it. Steve Hart joining us live from Brisbane. Thanks a lot, Steve. And Rachel Baxter is at the War Memorial in Canberra. Rachel, good morning. The march there is just wrapping up.
Good morning, Anne. It certainly is. It kicked off here around 9:30 this morning. An incredibly powerful and incredibly moving morning here at the Australian War Memorial. The march commenced with a flyover from a C-130 Hercules. 1,000 veterans marched up Anzac Parade to the grounds of the National War Memorial. This year's march was led by the Governor-General, the Honourable David Hurley, joining veterans he served with in Somalia 30 years ago in the 1st Battalion of the Royal Australian Regiment. This year marking the 30th anniversary of that dangerous peacekeeping mission. This is, of course, following the dawn service this morning, which drew a crowd of 30,500, the biggest crowd since before COVID began, all waking up before sunrise, braving the cold and fog in what was a truly moving service, starting with a special didgeridoo performance before Prime Minister Anthony Albanese delivered a powerful commemorative address.
Every Anzac Day, from the greatest memorial to the simplest cenotaph, we honour all who have served in our name and all who continue to serve today.
To have people come back without restriction, with sort of wonderful enthusiasm, with great reverence, it really was a very, very special day to be at the Australian War Memorial.
An incredible, powerful and moving morning here, Anne, and I'm sure many people are now heading down to their local watering holes for some traditional tour-up to honour the Anzacs.
Yes, the fun all ahead. Rachel Baxter in Canberra. Thank you, Rachel. And coming up next in 7 News, we're live to Gallipoli as Aussies and Kiwis prepare for the dawn service at the place where it all began. And a report from Villers-Bretonneux, the French town which holds Australia in its heart.
How far would you go to spend 24 hours with the man you're falling in love with?
Go!
The most gut-wrenching decision yet.
I think it's my turn.
I really like you. Will Farmer David follow his head or his heart?
Oh, this is going to be a nightmare.
Who would you like to invite?
The suspense is killing me.
New Farmer Wants a Wife. Tonight, 7:30.
Play for Oz. The next world champ. Don't like a beast.
Hope you've had your Weet-Bix.
All the things I feel inside when I see my mother's eyes. Love is always in her smile. There is no home like a mom. So let me hold.
Discover beautiful gifts this Mother's Day at Pandora.
Rexona Advanced gives you non-stop protection, activated by movement, tested to the limit.
I've been going for hours and still no sign of sweat.
Try Rexona Advanced 72-hour non-stop protection.
Tim's Starbucks Espresso Roast. Perfect for his flat white at home, made with an espresso machine. Starbucks coffee. Make it yours at home.
Oh, Andy, can't stop, Ashwin. Loan application time.
Applying for a loan isn't as hard as you think. With an easy online application, ANZ GoBiz is the loan without the groan. Search ANZ GoBiz.
This is Greg. He never thought he'd find an insurance company that respected him until he spoke to Yui.
I'm really happy about everything I've experienced with Yui. Yui have the interests of their customers at heart. The respect that Yui gives you, you think, well, they are what they say they are because they're taking the time to get to know you as a person.
Talk to Yui. We're insurance for individuals like Greg. Yui, you insured.
A performance that truly matters for each and every one of us. This is what you've been waiting for. Shen Yun, Sydney Lyric Theatre, April 27th to May 7th. shenyun.com.
Queen is for the joy of baking, the delight you get from creating, the happiness they get from tasting. With a dash of Queen, you can bake something truly special. A little Queen does wonders.
The dawn service in the place where the Anzac legend began, Gallipoli, is about to begin, and our Nick McCallum is there. Nick, it's always a very moving service as the dawn breaks over Anzac Cove.
Yes, it is, Anne, and unfortunately it's 45 minutes to go, and unfortunately it has started to rain here, although lightly. People are now waking up, they're stretching, the Air Force Band is playing, preparing for the start of the dawn service. Almost 7 hours ago, the gates opened here and 1,700 people poured in, and they laid camp all over the grassy knoll and had a quiet and at times emotional night. Now, when the dawn service starts at 5:30 local time, the sun will come up, and exactly 108 years since the Australians landed not far from here, they'll hear from representatives of the Australian government, the New Zealand government and the Turkish government. It's already been an emotional night here. It's bound to get even more emotional. Let's hear from some pilgrims.
It's always been a bucket list to come and pay our respect for those that sacrifice so much for us. Very emotional. I will I will pay my respects, yeah.
My great uncle James died on the 27th of April in 15, and I'm here to say hello.
Mate, why not? This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience, so you got to take these chances when you can get them. And family members have served, so we've got to honour everyone that we can.
Certainly, just look behind me. The people are voting, they're turning up, and I could only see that, the potential for additional growth.
Pre-COVID, most of the Australians who attended this service were young backpackers. But interestingly, the Repatriation Commissioner said today the demographics have skewed older, and in fact only a third of the crowd here is less than 34. It will be, when it takes off, it will be the biggest dawn service crowd here since 2015, the centenary year, Anne.
All right, enjoy the service, Nick. Nick McCallum joining us live there from Gallipoli. And nearly 3,000 kilometres from Gallipoli is another place where Australian diggers are revered and honoured each Anzac Day. Sarah Greenhalgh reports from Villers-Bretonneux in France.
Well, the first Anzac pilgrims will begin arriving very shortly here at Villers-Bretonneux, which is the scene of one of our greatest military victories. But the Western Front more broadly, of course, is the site of Australia's greatest military sacrifice. Such devastating loss, 46,000 plus soldiers who never made it home from World War I. And 105 years on from the end of the Great War, they are still being identified. Today, the federal government announced that 5 soldiers who were killed in the Battle of Fromelles, a devastating battle not far from here, have been named. These diggers were found in an unmarked mass grave in 2009, and specialists, archaeologists, researchers, they have been using evidence over the past few years, including DNA from family members, and finally they have been formally identified, giving a little bit of closure to those family members all these years on. And there will be a service in July where their headstones will be rededicated. It is tricky to know how many people will come to this dawn service at Villers-Bretonneux. Before COVID, the numbers were in the thousands. Last year there were 665, but regardless of how many, it will of course be just as moving as always. There is such a deep respect and a fondness among local people here in northern France as well. In the villages, you only have to drive around and see the Australian flags to know that they are devoted and dedicated to honouring the Australian legacy.
Thank you, Sarah. A look at other news now, and a 7.3 magnitude earthquake has struck off Indonesia's Sumatra Island. The tremor was at a depth of 20 kilometres, triggering a tsunami warning. People rushed to evacuate. There have been no reports of casualties. Authorities have confirmed there is no tsunami threat to Australia. Anzac Day race meets have been cancelled after jockey Dean Holland died after a fall in country Victoria. A 34-year-old father of 4 was competing in the opening race at Donald when his horse came down at the top of the home straight and rolled over him. Mr Holland was airlifted to hospital but couldn't be revived. A second rider, Alana Kelly, was also brought down but wasn't hurt. Sport is next in 7 News, including everything you need to know about a huge Anzac Day of footy in the NRL and AFL. And the Demons pile more pain on Richmond as a rising star steals the show at the MCG.
Join 7 News as Australia remembers the Anzacs. Special coverage as a nation salutes the fallen on 7 News at 6.
At Carpet Court, we've matched the latest carpet, hard flooring, blinds and rugs to this season's must-have edits. And right now you can earn triple Qantas points, both in-store and online. Carpet Court, triple Qantas points on now.
Go full sport with Code Sports. Go beyond the obvious with Australia's biggest and most experienced sports news team, bringing you the latest in-depth stories for all your sport, now in the one place. Go full sport with Code.
From the seeds, to the whole grains, to the bowl, to the crunch. Tasty little O's, with fibre from 4 whole grains. Cheerios, all the goodness of whole grains made tasty.
No.
But I'm trying to save money?
You don't have to cut out the things you love.
Like cool haircuts?
Yeah.
From Barber Steve?
Sure. You could save with AHM health insurance instead.
Ooh. With AHM, you're good.
sustainably sourced future. So we can all come back for seconds. An eye for good. Bird's eye.
So, when's that scratching post order coming?
One day.
One day.
One day?
One day? Yeah. Prime free one-day delivery.
Prime free one-day delivery.
Happy now?
Stay back, Waffles.
Experience China before communism. The life-changing performance. Shen Yun. Coming to Sydney Lyric Theatre, April 27th to May 7th. Tickets at shenyun.com/Sydney.
I dip when the mood don't feel right. I've been feeling weightless. Look at me, I'll change it right before me.
SC Johnson.
To sport now, and Richmond's early season woes have continued in the AFL. The Tigers gave up a 25-point lead against the Melbourne Demons last night. Youngster Jacob Van Rooyen kicked 3 goals in the final quarter as the D's surged to a 96-78 victory.
A lot more of in the future. He's got 3 goals.
You'd say at three-quarter time it certainly wasn't having the best night. You know, one stage we're thinking about subbing him, so thank God we didn't do that. And he managed to turn it around.
Richmond veteran Jack Riewoldt became just the 3rd player to kick 400 goals at the MCG. 90,000 are expected at the MCG for the traditional Anzac Day AFL clash between Essendon and Collingwood. Nathan Curry was outside the G a short time ago.
The MCG should be absolutely packed this afternoon. We had close to 84,000 here last night. I think we'll get 90,000 or even above that this afternoon, because have a look at the crowd that has turned out here nice and early. We had some people lining up even before 6 o'clock this morning. I must say Collingwood fans seem to get here quite early, but there's plenty of Bombers fans that have turned up now too, which is exactly what we like to see. A lot of people have brought their laptops, they're doing work. Other people seem to have picnic rugs. There's a bloke, he looks excited. Yes, that's what we like to see. A lot of energy here early this morning. Aside from grand final day, this is the day you see fans turn up nice and early, particularly to get into the MCC. A lot riding on the game too. It's the first time this century that both Collingwood and Essendon will head into the Anzac Day clash inside the top 4. So there's plenty to play out this afternoon, and it should be an absolute ripper here at the MCG.
Allianz Stadium in Sydney will also be at capacity for the Anzac Day NRL showdown between the Roosters and Dragons. Later tonight, Melbourne will host the New Zealand Warriors at Amy Park. The Storm welcome back Nelson Asofa Solomona and Nick Meaney, and Craig Bellamy is hoping they have an immediate impact against a vastly improved Warriors side.
I can't remember really a side that has improved as much as they have, you know, from a year to the next year. They've been tremendous this year.
And the NRL are in talks to open the 2024 season with 2 games in Las Vegas. Sydney FC secured their place in the A-League finals and ended Brisbane Roar's playoff hopes with a 2-0 win at Suncorp Stadium last night. Robert Mack and the in-form Adam Lafondra scored the goals for the Sky Blues.
Adam Lafondra scores in 3 straight matches, and Sydney FC, they're off to the finals now.
Brisbane are in danger of collecting the wooden spoon. There was no hiding David Warner's jubilation after he extracted some revenge on the Indian Premier League team that sacked him. The Aussie opener only made 21 for the Delhi Capitals against his old side, Sunrisers Hyderabad, but the Capitals were still able to notch their 2nd win in a row. The 7-run victory clearly meant a lot to Warner, who was axed by Hyderabad 2 years ago. Next in 7's Morning News, we'll have the national weather forecast for the rest of Anzac Day.
You said he left you a note.
Just said, I'm hungry.
Hello? Ambulance.
You reckon you could tell us your name?
Home and Away, this week on 7 at 7+.
How good is that first sip of a silky smooth oat milk latte?
How good is a dairy-free smoothie that's high in calcium? How good is creamy without the cream? How good? So good.
Wouldn't it be nice?
At Amplifon, we believe in personalisation.
Hi, Gary.
If I'm watching TV, I'll miss my phone or the doorbell ring.
I can set you up so you can receive calls right into your hearing aid. You can even connect them to a TV and doorbell with Bluetooth.
Now I've heard everything. I'll get it.
Now I've heard everything.
Tell us about your lifestyle and we'll customise a solution to meet your needs. Book a free hearing check today. Call 13MyEars today.
Go full sport with Code Sports. Stay up to date with all your data, live scores, stats, and full access to your KFC Supercoach fantasy news. For all your sport, now in the one place. Go full sport with Code.
Andy can't stop Ashwin. Loan application time.
Applying for a loan isn't as hard as you think. With an easy online application, ANZ GoBiz is the loan without the groan. Search ANZ GoBiz.
Your dishwasher needs help. But when was the last time you gave it Rinse Aid? Finish Rinse Aid added regularly helps dry your dishes, glasses and plastics. For a brilliant shine and 2 times better drying, try Finish Rinse Aid.
How much better is this? With Dexcom G6, there's no more worry or lost sleep, scanning or finger pricks. Just real-time glucose monitoring with predictive alerts that can also connect to your insulin pump.
A well-designed room can rekindle the spark. Let Snooze help you get more out of your room. Because the more amazing your room is, the more amazing you'll feel.
Did you want me to, move back, or...?
Would you?
How's that? Is that better?
No.
No worries, mate. I'll go further. Easy.
This weather report is brought to you by Subway. Merry Cookiness.
To the weather around the nation now for the rest of Anzac Day. Brisbane, a shower or two today, a top of 25 degrees. Sydney, partly cloudy and 24. Canberra, morning fog, then sunny and 22. Melbourne, a sunny day, a top of 25. For Hobart, mostly sunny, 21 today. Adelaide, warm and 27 degrees, mostly sunny. Perth, some showers increasing, a top of 19 degrees. And for Darwin, partly cloudy and 34. And that's 7 News to now. We'll take you live to Gallipoli for the dawn service in half an hour on 7 in New South Wales and Queensland, and on 7 in the rest of the country. Our next bulletin this afternoon is at 4:30 p.m. I'm Ann Sanders. We'll leave you with images of how we've remembered so far this Anzac Day, lest we forget.
Millions of